Hello, chess players. How are you doing? I'm gonna reveal this chess game between Sparsh Gurek, who is playing with the white pieces, and who took the first place of this tournament, which is called the Golden Pawn. And this tournament is a Progress with Chess Scholastic tournament, and we have four more Golden Pawn tournaments approaching. Okay. In the both of these players received a customized trophy. So that's very interesting. By the way, I think I did not mention the name of the player with the black pieces, which is Adita Mehta. I hope that I pronounced their names correctly. Okay, so let's look at their game. So e4, e5, knight e3. So the first player chose the Vienna game, which is a very interesting choice. Okay, knight c6, bishop c4, and now black played bishop c5. Probably better is a knight f6. So one rule of thumb in chess is to develop your knights first, and that's usually correct. Okay, of course there will be many exceptions, but it's a good rule of thumb. Okay, because the knights will almost always go toward the center, but the bishops will have more squares to choose from. Okay, maybe he'll go to b4, maybe c5, maybe e7, maybe g7 after g6. Okay, so maybe even d6 in some situations. So it's the principle of flexibility being applied here. Okay, and this knight will almost always go to f6. Okay, that's why knight f6 is a better choice here. Okay, and there's another problem with bishop c5 is because now white has queen g4 attacking the pawn, and black will have some troubles defending this pawn without making concessions. Okay, so yeah, after bishop c5, queen g4, and now white is attacking the g7 pawn, and black already has a problem solved because the black player here played the player with the black pieces played queen f6. But for example, let's say king f8. Well, black already lost the possibility of castling, and we already can see that it's just by that fact alone that it's not bishop c5 was not the best move. And for example, I but black can manage this position. You know, he can keep developing because we need to keep developing. So he can play knight f6, d6. Also, sometimes even you can start pushing this h pawn, right? Because as further as you can push your h pawn, your rook will become more active. And if white is castling kingside, the h pawn combined with the rook on h8 will be attacking. This can be an effective attacking plan. Okay, but let's keep with the game. So 95, pretty strong move, right? Improving the position of the knight, becoming more centralized, attacking the queen, attacking the pawn on c7, and yeah, black is already in some trouble here. So after queen f2 check, king d1, and there's no checkmate here, right? Because the bishop is covering the f1 square, so that's pretty important. And black played d6, which is a blunder, right? Because now he's gonna be hanging this g7 pawn, which will be attacking after the queen takes on g7. It will be attacking the h8 rook. So that's gonna be a problem, and the king will be very vulnerable with the white queen so close. So much better would have been to play king f8, and it has two purposes. First, it protects the g7 pawn, and secondly, if white takes on c7, it's not going to be a check anymore. So yeah, king f8 was the best move for black. Okay, so that's one thing that we always must be aware of, which is the threats of our opponents. We always must ask ourselves, what are his attack? What is he attacking? You know, is he threatening to capture a piece? Is he threatening to check? Maybe, you know, some checks will win material, etc. So you need to defend your material, and you need to think preemptively. Okay, so that's why King f8 was the only move to hold this position as black. After d6, that's already lost position. Okay, because after queen d7, everything is hanging. Okay, and the king is also in a very vulnerable position. After 94, 92, very good. Keep developing, because if black wins a rook but doesn't develop the rest of its pieces, then it's not gonna be able to convert to a victory, right? So you need to keep developing your pieces. That's very important. After b5, bishop d3, okay, and c6, and then knight c7 check. White could also have played taken on h8, and it would be we are already threatening to take the knight on g8 with check. And if queen takes g2, we can play rook g1. The knight is protecting the rook is attacking the queen, and indirectly attacking the knight on g8. Okay, but knight c7 check is also perfectly okay. It's a good move as well. And now take queen f6. But now black is simplifying. Now it's actually even easier to win this game after it gets simplified. So yeah, black should avoid this exchange. Maybe complicate in some way, but I mean, there's not much way to complicate, right? Because his pieces will fall. So yeah, that's why I say that it was a lost position already. Yeah. Then rook f1, very good move. Keep activating your pieces. It's very important to keep developing your pieces. As I said before, let's, for example, imagine this position and that we won the material, but we never develop our pieces beyond the first rank. Well, we would lose at some point, right? Because we would be so passive, we wouldn't be making use of our pieces. So we, that's how we win the game. We need to activate our pieces and create an attacking plan, right? So rook f1, very good. h3, attacking the knight, kicking the knight away at some point. Taking with the king, okay, no problem. Knight h6, and then rook f6, attacking the knight, very good. Rook g. And now white played king f1, which is perfectly good. It still wins the game with no trouble. But white could also have taken the knight, because after rook check, we can play with king e1. If rook check, bishop f1, and then we could keep our development with d3, bishop d2, king e2, maybe later bishop e3, and so maybe we can later activate our rook, right? So we still want to develop all of our pieces, activate all of them, right? So, but okay, king f1 is fine. Rook g6, now we exchange, no problem. b3, activating the bishop, okay, that's a good idea. Then black took the knight, king e2, rook f1, yes, perfect. So yeah, activating our pieces. I mean, we need to maneuver this bishop on d3 because it's not doing much, right? So yeah, it's not doing much. We need to maneuver it. But okay, so c4 was not the best move here. Probably c3 is a little bit better, maybe c3, bishop c2, and then d4. Because after c4, black could have played much better. He took on c4, and taking on c4 is a mistake, because after taking, well, now our bishops are much more active, right? And there's also, he opened another line, the c file, and open files are better for rooks, not minor pieces. So that's why it would be better to play b4, so we can keep the bishop on d3 passive, and we don't open up lines, or we don't open up uh, files for the rook, right? So that's why b4 was a much better move. Okay, so after b takes, bishop takes, now we have a very nice position. After c4, d3, just consolidating the pawn that was being attacked by the bishop. And after bishop c6, white made a very good move, which is bishop c1, attacking the knight, which is on the corner of the board, and there's no way he can defend this knight, because if knight f7, we can take, right? So after d5, he takes d5, perfect. Now we have two threats. After knight f5, we took the bishop on c6. Okay, so this is an easy win. We just need to activate our king. As a matter of fact, this is a typical plan to activate our kings on the endgame, because there's not much risk um, bringing the king to the center of the board. So that's why we can start to. I mean, black just gave up the pawns. Probably he was on time pressure at this point, but there black couldn't do much actually. Even if h5, there's bishop f7. So yeah, there's not much he can do. So yeah. So now we just the plan is very simple. Just push the pawns to promote, and if you need any help, bring your king, right? And also, if this position wasn't so winning, we could make some more sophisticated plans. For example, attacking these pawns, maybe bringing our bishop to c3, attacking the pawn, bringing the king, so we could attack these pawns, right? But we don't need to think that much on this position, because it's we have two passed pawns on the king side. So yeah, we just need to push down, bring the king, which what he did, and that's gonna be checkmate, and that was checkmate. So a very nice game. White played pretty well. He took advantage of the opportunities that arose. He found the tactical motifs. It was pretty good. Black could have made better use of defensive moves or defensive opportunities. Mainly the king f8 was a critical moment on the beginning of the game. Okay, so and also some problems arise right after the opening. After bishop c5, knight f6 would have been better. And that's it for today. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed, great. So bye bye.